Hi everyone, good afternoon. It's a happy Sunday. How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. This is Comfy and Unfiltered podcast, and it's going to be comfortable here. We're going to be talking and chilling and vibing because I'm getting used to him now, so I can chill, Before it was more like I'm with a celebrity doctor. But now, hey, I'm also enjoying the celebrity from him. So, hey, if you haven't subscribed the channel, please do subscribe the channel, Comfy and Unfiltered on YouTube. And also, we are on Audio Mac. Okay. Yes, Audio Max. So I'm gonna get the details. I'm not a technology person, but I'm gonna get all the details out. And we also working to go on Spotify and Audible to get all the podcast and everything. So stay tuned.
Yes.
Oh, I've been talking and I haven't even said my name. My name is Ohimananama, and I am your beautiful host. And I'm here with
my name is Luis.
Doctor.
I don't say it.
Doctor PhD.
My name is Dr. Luis. I'm a clinical psychologist. I specialize in assessment and evaluation of ADHD, autism, and the likes. So, yeah.
And everything. Okay, so I want to say thank you for coming again. It was beautiful. I saw a lot of comments and stuff on we talking about autism. It was so beautiful, and you here again. Today we're going to be talking about ADHD, but before I zoom off, now my friends have businesses, and as a good friend that I am, I need to make sure that their businesses are thriving. So Maseda Unique Natural is a natural hair product for kids and for adults. So you can always get all your natural hair product, from conditioning to shampooing to the cream to the scarf tamer, all of that, detanglers. You can always get Maseda Unique Natural. Make every day a beautiful hair day. You can get them on Maseda Unique Natural at gmail.com, and we got you. We're gonna put it out there so you're gonna see it, and you can always call them on 857-2038-770. God Word for Us TV is a platform where if you're a pastor, you can always reach out to the owner of this platform. He has a website where you can always get your messages to. If you have a program that you want to be streamed, that you want it to be short, all those things. You have a podcast that you want to stream, all those things. Get to God Word for Us TV. Daily devotion calendar from my sister Rachel Want. You can get it at the onestore.com and also on TikTok for just $20. Excellence and elegant event. Yes, that's my business. We get on to all events, deco, wedding, funeral, everything. We always want to give you the excellence of your event. Call us on
celebrity level. So United Showbiz. When I'm watching United Showbiz, I will see Empress make adverts.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Go ahead,
614-772-0464. And we are back from the commercial break. So we're talking about ADHD today, and there was a trend that came on that people were talking about. ADHD became one of the things that everybody was advocating for to go find. I was like, there are certain characteristics and certain things that were happening that you wouldn't even know that you have it, right, until you get to know that these are some of the traits. But if somebody's just watching us and doesn't understand what ADHD is, what is ADHD?
Well, so ADHD stands for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. It's a neurodevelopmental disorder, and when we say that, what we mean by that is it's a condition that typically affects the way our brain works, and it's something that it goes all the way to childhood, right? So if you say somebody has ADHD, it's something that they've been dealing with since childhood. It primarily affects a person's attention, executive functioning, concentration, impulsivity or impulse control, and like how much they control their body. So restlessness and hyperactivity. There are 3 types of ADHD, or 3 presentations. So there's ADHD inattentive presentation. That's for the people whose main issue is around attention and focus. And then there's hyperactive impulsive type. Those are the people whose main issue is around hyperactivity, being talkative, being impulsive. And then there's the combined presentation. That's for people that have enough symptoms of both. Right? Yeah. So I guess in a nutshell, that's what ADHD is.
Wow, I think you just described me. Probably. So
possibly, yeah.
So I wrote certain questions down because me listening, me reading, I'm like, it's like you're going to a psychic and somebody's reading you. Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that those that have certain symptoms or certain things, they know that they are probably showing certain signs that they need to go check so that they can be diagnosed, though.
Yeah.
So my question is, how does ADHD affect the person's daily life? Because with me, I know that I have it.
Yeah.
Because I know certain things that I do that is affecting my daily life. If it is now, unless you tell me the time you want me to be done, because I don't see it as urgent.
Right.
So I mostly will rather work under pressure when I know that it's today. That's why I'm looking for clothes. That's what I'm doing, because then I come out so good. But if you tell me do this and you don't give me a time frame, forget about it. If I don't write it on my calendar, we didn't talk about it. So how does ADHD affect other people, and as you said, some of the symptoms and all that?
Yeah. Well, so Ohima, I want to be careful to make sure that everybody doesn't think they have ADHD.
Okay.
Right? Because there's also a downside to that. Because everybody thinks they have ADHD, then nobody's ADHD will be taken seriously.
Oh, okay.
You understand? So
perfect.
I want to make sure. The symptoms of ADHD, especially we in 1-1, like if you take it 1-1, there are so many aspects of it that many people relate to. So before we diagnose somebody with ADHD, like I said, it has to be something that they've been dealing with since childhood. The main thing is when it comes to inattentive presentation, there are 9 symptoms.
Okay.
When it comes to hyperactive impulsive presentation, there are 9 symptoms. Right? So for example, if we diagnose somebody with inattentive presentation, it means that they currently meet criteria for at least 5 of those symptoms. Those things affect their functioning in at least 2 settings, right? So maybe it shows up and affects them in their work, it shows up and affects them in their social life, and also that we can say that the symptoms are not better explained by anything else. Okay. You understand?
Yeah.
So some people may say, oh, you mentioned this symptom, that symptom, that symptom. I can relate to all 3.
Yeah.
And it really affects my schoolwork.
Yes.
So one, there's 3 symptoms that affects your schoolwork, and then they'll probably say, oh, but it wasn't an issue until I started my graduate school program. You probably don't have ADHD. Right? Because like I said, it has to be an issue, something that you've been dealing with since childhood.
Yeah.
We have to have at least 5 symptoms, and we should see that symptoms affect you in multiple settings.
Okay.
So I wanted to clarify that because, again, it's a common,
conversation going on
that I hear when people say things like, oh, doc said, this one there, it sounds like me too, but then if you hear the 1 symptom, it may sound like you, but are you seeing all of these symptoms? And also, all of the symptoms start with often, right?
Yes.
They will say something like often procrastinates.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right? So
that's me.
If you're somebody that you feel like, okay, this happens sometimes, maybe depending on what's going on in my life, again, we are likely not.
It's life.
Right.
Life is life.
So that's how to sort of tease apart ADHD from normal levels of attention, normal differences in attention, and people that don't have ADHD.
Okay, as we wanted to go into how much it affects others in their life, can you give 3 or 4 examples that are really that really show up in others, so that we can give some people the clarity of what they're thinking about. And like I gave an example with me, there's a time, like most often, like I have the paralysis. I know I need to do something. I will plan it, and my brain will plan it all night and think about it all night. I know what I need to do is the getting up, is the doing. I can be on the phone for hours and do and watch stuff. The moment I think that I need to get up and do it, I feel like I'm getting sick. I'm tired of something. I will not get up.
Something else gets in the way.
Yes, and the other things that, if you go to my other room, I started sewing, I started knitting, I started paint. I have I like I started journaling. I have a whole bunch of journal, like from prayer journal to relationship journal. I have it all. But but you know, I can say that, start and like write stuff. I'll do like for a week or 2. Not Friday is gone. Then I'm doing something else. Like I can, for like 2-3 months, I started eating tacos from the real taco place. I ate, and it's the same thing I'm always getting. So the moment I call, lady who me number team, usual, I say usual. No, I'll go pick it. So from a media, I'm just reading and self-diagnosing, but from a doctor's perspective, what are some of the core symptoms that people can have?
Okay, all right. I was trying to pull it up so I could kind of read it directly, but for some reason my internet is not connecting.
Anyway. I can give me. Why are you talking?
So let's start with the inattentive type, which is typically what many adults can relate to, right? So for the inattentive presentation, like I said, starts with often, so people often struggle with sustained attention. That's one of them. Sustained attention is a tendency, like you're saying, a tendency to start things and not see it through, right? So typically when you're excited about something, you get to start it, but what many people do is they don't necessarily think about what it takes to finish it. So some people will start something, and then halfway through they realize, I needed this other thing to finish it, and that thing is not there, and then the motivation sort of goes away. So many people often struggle with sustained attention. The other one is procrastination, a tendency to procrastinate, especially on things that require sustained mental effort. Like something that they have to put their
think
mind
about. It is a lot.
If they have to use a lot of brain power, they'll push it off. So if they're in school, they will have an assignment that they got, like it's supposed to, they got assignment 2 weeks ago, but they'll do it the night off, right? Again, this is one example that, because many students can relate to that. Many students are procrastinators, right? So it will be one symptom that you're like, I can relate to it, but also what about the other 9? There is another one, which is a tendency to zone out in one-on-one conversations, so on a very, very bad level, you'll be the person that when you're having conversation with your friends, they're going, yo, I'm talking to you, like, like, where are you? But typically what we see is, you can do the
like, but then I'm thinking something else.
tomorrow when I make a reference to the conversation we had yesterday, exactly, when like we were talking about yesterday, like we haven't talked about this. I'm like, yeah, we have, but you don't remember because you didn't come on, you weren't even here. So
is it like repeating conversations that that probably you've talked about the person, and then you always come back and be like, I
do that a lot, my wife. Because you said it, but you don't remember saying it.
My friend was like, I know you can't. Okay. Let's go over again.
I remember one of my close friends, Shay, he used to be my roommate, and when we go to Easton, there's a place that I park. I park in one of the floors, and I park in D, and apparently every time we go there, I tell Shay that this is where I park. So if I tell you I'm in Easton and you come to Easton, this is where I'll be. Apparently every time we go to Easton, I tell him, and I didn't know until the one day, the moment I started saying it, he almost said it along with me. Like, I've been saying this. So sometimes there's a lot of forgetfulness. Forgetfulness is one of the symptoms of ADHD. There is, and these are the symptoms of the inattentive type, right? Let me see if I can find more to speak on. Yep. Oh, and then there's difficulty paying attention to details, so a tendency to make frequent mistakes. So for students, maybe you are a very good student, but when you do an assignment, instead of your A, you get a B plus because there are so many typos and there are so many you're missing articles and stuff like that, right? For adults and people who are in the job market, you get a lot of making silly mistakes.
Yes.
And if you have a job that if you're an accountant, that's not good. If
you add zero where you're not supposed to add.
Exactly. If you're an accountant, that can be a big issue. Another difficulty is difficulties with follow through. Somebody will say, "Hey, Ohima, can you do A, B, and C for me?" If you don't write it down, even though they're really simple and straightforward, you do A, you do C.
Then I'll call and ask. And then yeah.
While it gets annoying, so people.
It does, and I think that's why we're talking about this, because people do not really get it. Like when I was a kid, when you tell me something, I'll come. My God, I'm like, because I feel like when you put it all together, it becomes a lot.
Yeah.
And then I will end up like doing one thing, then go do that thing, and then like right now, even when I was starting ready, I said, "Oh, let me set up." I found myself cleaning. Then I found myself, like having something rush.
Let me put you on blast small. One of the things that also happens a lot in people with ADHD is difficulties with organization, right? And sometimes that part of that is almost like you don't quite know how time works.
Yes.
We were supposed to do this about a month ago, and we scheduled the time for, I think it was a Saturday at 2. I'm getting ready in my house, and Ohima calls and says, "Hey, the thing that I came here to do, we are nowhere near finishing, so we have to reschedule," right? And that by itself isn't a symptom of ADHD, but people with ADHD struggles a lot with that, because in their mind, I'll finish this thing really quickly.
And I'm like, but then, by 2 hours I should be done.
But then you realize the thing after, even though they've done it before, and typically it takes 4 hours, but they are not computing it, Yeah. So you are thinking it takes 2 hours, and then it takes 4 hours. The next time you still think it will take 3 hours maybe, then it takes 4 hours.
Wow.
So if you don't take care over time, if for people that don't care about it, so over time you become unreliable.
Yes.
Right? Because every time you plan something, something else will come up because you got lost somewhere, you lost track of it somewhere, stuff like that. So those are the inattentive symptoms. Then when it comes to the hyperactive impulses, again, in adults it's not nearly as significant, right? But in kids, those are the kids who are running around, sometimes to the point of being so careless that they get injuries and stuff like that. They are jumping off of tables, risking injury. But in adults, what we see is a lot of talkativeness, or pekasa, or kasa. If they're speaking and you don't take care, you won't get a word in. Like they go on,
because we go on off of topics. Like my best friend, when we are talking, it's like there is not like, you see how people when you're talking they have like can't we ask them, then for me it's like no kasana waka bibin and makaiwe, then I bring it in, and then so it's like one conversation there are like 100 million topics, so he'll be like hold on Mami, and then when he's talking I'm finishing it because
a tendency to finish people's sentences. It's almost like you don't have patience to wait for them to finish,
because what you're saying,
another one,
I'll forget what I want to say.
Tendency to interrupt people when they're talking.
Oh, yeah. I just did.
A tendency to interrupt people when they're talking. And then there's also a tendency to intrude, as in two people are having a conversation. Like the average kid, the average person kind of recognize that, okay, but then they will see themselves into it, so typically you'd get a lot of like,
yeah.
When you're a child, it comes across as though they're paying for kasa now.
No,
right, but it's not. And at a point, people don't realize that they may say you don't respect or stuff like that. But it's just the way your brain works. If the conversation is interesting to you, you that impulse control to say, oh, this is not something that I'm invited in, I should back up. It's not necessarily there. There's a lot of impatience, so sometimes it shows up as road rage. You are driving, the speed limit is 65, the person in front of you is driving 65, but you're so angry when you're going to the next lane, you don't even check, so people, especially teens with ADHD, are more likely to get into car accidents because, again, that impulsivity and that impatience is there. For many adults, how it typically shows up, maybe you go to the grocery store, this line is maybe 5 people,
free.
you will walk to go and find a line that has only one. By the time you get to that line, this line is empty.
I know.
But you don't have patience to wait for this one. So, yeah, they would rather, like a person with ADHD would rather drive 30 minutes to avoid sitting in traffic for 5 minutes
yes.
than drive for 10 minutes.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
they just, the patience isn't.
Oh, wow.
But again, that's the hyperactive impulsive type.
Wow.
And the people that have both can be combined presentation. So for those of you that follow me on TikTok, I have several videos on it. So there's individual symptoms. You can check those. And I actually have them on my YouTube as well. But, you know, yeah, those are
symptoms. And I think that is why we should be talking more about these things. When I was a kid, you're from a kitty boy, I was so little, but because they were I am like pretty.
Yep.
And I'll be here. I'm some like, and then every talkative lesbian medium womb. And it's because, and I don't even know, it's not because I like talking. Okay, maybe I like talking, but it's more of I want to be seen, be heard, those things. Like if somebody's talking, as I'm not gonna, I see it in pictures. So I want to be.
It's interesting to you. You want to join in the conversation.
Yes, because they're all kind of like, I'm envisioning myself in there. I'm seeing like, oh, maybe you're talking about waterfall, and while I'll be thinking about waterfall, I'm seeing waterfall. I'm like, hey, it will be like how tall it is, how is like, do people swim in it? Okay, when are we going? How is it? Like those things. But then your son, they beat us to the point that baby, a lot of people. Me, I shrunk.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for me doing podcast, I don't want to talk to people.
Yeah.
I hate, like, it's like I'm allergic to people now. That's the thing.
Exactly what happens, especially to the young girl. You know, the moment you like okasadodo, like pray, you know, petre, and I don't know, boss. Like as a girl, why are you acting that?
Yeah.
You know, so after you've been yelled at a few times, the average girl shrinks.
Yeah.
You know, not like everything is internal now. So, but the ADHD is not gone, right? So the feeling is there, but also, you know, so if you don't take care, what you do to your child is a lifetime of shedding also, you know, so it can then lead to a certain level of anxiety, a certain level of depression, especially, right? Because only if the person is consistently
shutting down
themselves back for fear that's my parent, right? Not for fear, even sometimes not even for fear of other people, but for fear that my parent, who's supposed to love me unconditionally, will be upset at me and yell at me or beat me and stuff like that. It gets really, really complicated, you know. So it helps when we have these conversations, because then you realize that maybe your child who is, you know, hyperactive and talkative and impulsive isn't a bad kid. Their brain works a little differently. And we're not in any way suggesting that just let them
do whatever they're doing.
That's not what I'm suggesting at all. But I feel like if you do understand that it's a brain difference, then the approach is a little different.
Yes.
You know, like it's like, I mean, if I say, if you have a child that you think naswording, but then you go to do an ear check and you find out that, oh, there's something wrong with his ears. It's two different things, right? When you think he's just ignoring you versus when you think there's something wrong with his ears. In both cases, right? But on one side, the approach is different.
Yes.
Because now when you're talking to him, you want to get his attention. You want to maybe make him a list so that he can have a visual to it as well, you know. But when you think he's just ignoring you, you're yelling even louder. You're maybe whooping him and stuff.
Let's stay right there for a little bit, especially with kids that mom will come in, dad will come in, clean your room.
Right.
To me, when I was a kid, we catch on say kochichi nkukrum. One can say chichi na me find your way. The fact that you say go and wash the dishes, it will be on my terms.
Because they didn't give you a timeline.
Yes, because I'm gonna get it done anyway.
Eventually.
I didn't sign. I can play a
I didn't say you
let me do what I'm doing. I will get to it. So most kids are being yelled at, beaten, like they keep repeating the same instruction, and it's like I think it's how it is being said and how it's done. Like you can say, me if I want to clean, I will clean, and I don't care. I can be there doing something, and when I see say I should clean, I will clean the whole night and not sleep. Then I have to go to work. But then me being a kid, it was more of how can you talk to them, especially the African parent, to know how to redirect these kids on how to follow through instructions?
So two things. Again, all of this is not to suggest that you should let your child do the things at their own terms, right? But the more specific your instructions are, the better.
Perfect.
Right? So it's like, hello, Ohima, like, you don't even have to necessarily give them a reason, but you're saying, now, you know, like if you need any help, I can help you with it, right? But if you already know that your child knows how to do it, then you can say, and if for some reason, you know, because sometimes even as adults, right, you leave your, you know, like my office is in the basement. I leave the office, I come upstairs to maybe get water, and while I'm in the fridge, I realize, oh, there's something that we don't have. We don't have juice for the kiddo. So I go to put on my shopping list like juice. Then I forget why I came upstairs. And I'll probably go back down and not get the water, right? But if I sent my child to come and get water from, you know, and then they came in and they got distracted by something and came back down with other water, I'll be angry and I'm caning him, right? Which is not fair.
Yeah.
You know, so when you do recognize that we're humans, our brains work a little bit differently, then you figure out how best to direct your child, right? So there are some kids that if you need them to do something, if you say, go and wash the dishes, you in your mind say dishes, it's easy, right? In the child's mind, they have to put all the dishes in the sink, put water, put detergent, you know, fetch, you know, put some water in here for rinsing. That's I'm thinking about when I was younger.
Yeah, that's what I do.
When I was younger, you know, the childhood process, right? And then after, you know, so wash, rinse, and then set it out there to dry, or if you're people that kind of wipe it off as well. So in their mind, it sounds like a lot.
Yes.
Right? So you think it's just dishes that you've asked them to go wash, but in their mind, it's something that is just so much work.
Yeah.
You know, so they may not happily go and do it. And if they have any reason to do it later, that's what they would opt for. You know, so you have to be direct as possible. And then, especially in the beginning stages, when you're teaching the child, you know, help them find easier ways. If you go and they are making the job more difficult for themselves than it has to be, teach them, like, hey, you know, like, you don't have to do it this way. I bet you know, like, if you do it this way, you waste soap, so instead do it this way. You know, if you do it this way, it takes too long. Instead, like, talk to your child, like, work with them through some of those things, right? So yes, the more specific the instruction is, the better. If it's possible to break it down for them, you know, do that. Maybe instead of waiting until all of the dishes are like it's a whole sink full of dishes to then ask them to go and wash, try to get them in a routine or in a habit where they do a little at a time. You know, so like, yeah, those are some ways to give your children instructions. And I always tell parents, if you work with the premise that maybe, like, when I give my kid instruction, it's always so hard to follow, right? How best can I figure this out or work with him on it? You know, it's a better way than how we typically assume, you know, because the moment you put it that the child is stubborn or is a bad kid, you stop trying to figure out ways
what's going on,
because you think caning is the way to go. You understand? You know, so yeah, I think those are some of the ways that can be helpful. I remember when I was growing up, I don't think I ever got home from school and opened my book to do homework. You won't catch me doing homework by myself. And there were many times when, you know, like an adult would kind of be like, "What do you feel school by sorry for it, even like get up and go and study." You come out, I'll have a book in front of me, but I'm not studying anything. You understand? But if anybody ever actually try to talk to them like, how come when you come from school you don't learn anything? They go, I've already done the assignment. It's like, the thing that we'll teach tomorrow, I already know it because I was a smart kid. If I do say so myself, the thing that the exam is on tomorrow, I already know it. I'll pass the exam because every time at the end of the term when my grades come, they're good. So I don't see the need to study. Now if whoever is talking to me, explains to me that knowledge is infinite, and maybe you understand what you'll be taught tomorrow, right? But why don't you just read something just to broaden your horizon, broaden your mind? Read something for fun, read something for fiction. It would help you build your vocabulary. Like read this book or play this game. If you actually talk to the person, then you can help them do better. So you get the thing that you want them to do, they study more, but now it's more useful to them.
Yeah, you building an interest.
But if you yell at me that I should go and study because you think as a class 6 kid I should study or I should do my homework, I don't have any homework to do.
Yeah.
You understand? You come and see the book open, but even at the time we didn't have phones, so it's not the phone that's distracting me, but my brain is so active. I don't need a phone to distract me. So many times when you see me on my phone as a distraction, it's more as my phone gives me something to narrow in on, because my only God knows the things that's going in my.
Oh God!
You understand? So
oh God!
It's one of those things. Like, just talk to your child and try to figure out what's going on, and help them. Yeah.
Wow, if you just join us, this is Coffee and Unfiltered, and I am here with Dr. Louise, and we are talking about ADHD. Please get somebody on, share, in fact, subscribe to the channel Coffee and Unfiltered on YouTube. So, Doc, what are some of the, let me read. How can people with ADHD leverage their strength and talent? Because I'm using myself as an example. What I know I like, I spend more time on it. Like with the decoration, it's something that I can sit and think about and do, and I don't even get tired.
Yep.
But when it's something else, I find excuse, like go to church, like let's go for a program. The fact that I need to get up, dress, see people, oh God, it's a lot for me. But if it comes to like decoration or talking, writing, I'm gonna do it more, and I don't care how long it takes. I'm gonna take my time and do it. So how can people with ADHD leverage their talent and giftings with their strength and stuff?
Yeah. So the first one I'd say is there's a lot of strength in just knowing how your brain works.
Yes.
And working with your brain. Many people want to do things the way everybody does them. If you have ADHD, that's not going to work. If you have autism, that's not going to work. Sometimes even if you consistently deal with anxiety, that's not going to work. If you're somebody recovering from depression or dealing with depression, that's not going to work. You have to figure out how your brain works and work with it.
Okay.
So that's the number one way, really. Know your brain, work with your brain. Number two, there is unfortunately, right, you can't just do the things that you're interested in. Like this life, you go bankrupt, like your successful. Like the way the world is set up, you can't just only do the things that are interesting. So there's a way to sort of gamify your life, right? Yesterday when I was on the live, I was telling folks about and it's not like research backed or anything, but 5 of the main ways that people with ADHD get motivated, right, is the acronym is NCAP, like interest, novelty, challenge, urgency, and passion.
Yes.
If the person is interested in it, they're more likely going to do it.
Yes.
If it's new, like this thing is new, it's exciting. It's like when I first started content creation, like I was always watching YouTube videos. I wanted to work and stuff like that. It's new, And if it's whatever it is challenging, So when people start a new job or even a new course, there's a lot of challenge in it. They'll do it. If it's urgent, give the person a deadline. It's like, they may not do it until the night of the urgency will kick in. And P, which is passion. If they're passionate about something, whether it be girl child education, whatever it is, like if it's an area of passion for them, even if the specific task they don't want to do, because it's in their broader area of passion, they are more likely to do it, right? So sometimes the way to improve your functioning is to almost like artificially create some of these things.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Interest might be a bit hard to create artificially.
Yeah.
But even that, like if there's an aspect of the thing you need to do that can be interesting, right? You do that, right?
Okay.
Novelty, of course, there are so many aspects of a person's job that you can try to do it in a new way.
Yes.
So if you come to my office, right? For those of you who follow me on TikTok especially, I'm always changing my office setup. In the last 2 days, I do have the decoration. I have the lion and I have this green thing. There was a time that I actually built an accent wall. I used the accent wall for like a month and I changed it, right? I'm always looking to get some novelty in there to keep me going, because if not, it gets boring. Same old thing, just different day. It's annoying, right? And then there's a challenge, because dissertation, you have to submit it before you graduate. That's the only deadline you have, right? So what she did was she told her professor, like, I will get you something every week, right? So that means that every Friday there was a deadline. I told my professor I was going to get him something. I have to get him something, even if it's 1 page, and that forced her to at least write something every week. So by the time the deadline actually came, there was something, right? So she had a fake urgency in putting a structure, right? And then passion, of course. So the passion piece is why, I don't know, maybe some people, when people say things like, do what you love and you never work a day in your life, right? I know it's BS, but if, as somebody with ADHD, you want to make sure your job is in something that you actually like to do.
Like
I think the average person with ADHD inattentive type, probably, especially untreated, probably shouldn't be an accountant, because you'd be bored out of your mind.
Oh God.
Like sometimes I'm working with people who say people who think they have ADHD, they're coming for testing, and their job is data entry, right? So in their specific case, every day you go in there, you're looking at a list, you're entering, you're looking at a list, you're entering. This is what you're doing for 8 hours a day, right? Like, medication, like treatment can help, but you'll be miserable most days of your job, right? Because your brain isn't set up that way.
As you're saying this, it's making me to analyze my life, because there are points in my life that I get bored in certain jobs that I'm doing, and I always will call my friends, can we do it this way? Can we do it that way? She's like, I know you are thriving, what are you doing? Do as you want. And then because I work with kids with autism. So I'm like, let's do it this way, let's grade this, let's do that. And then she's like, oh, you got this, just grade the program, let's do it. And every day, so my brain is thinking something else. I will see this person, I'm like, oh, today you did this. Okay, let's look at it for a week. So every day I'm doing something, but it goes to a point in time that I was doing a different job, and I'm not there, because I like it, but it's not giving me anything to be excited about. And so I like how you've put in it the interest, the passion, the urgency, and then another thing, the novelty and the challenge. It is really, I'm gonna be looking into it, because it gets to a point too that what I like, I overdo it, and I overdo it to the point that Debia is eating into another time of something I'm supposed to do.
I don't agree with people that say ADHD is a superpower, right? Because whenever people say ADHD is a superpower, for many people, what they think about is the fact that people with ADHD can hyper focus and do something and do it really, really well. So if they're interested in something, they can lock in, do a lot of readings and research about it, do it, and blow it out of the water. The only problem with it is when you do that, you lose sight of the other things that also have to be done, right? Especially if you're an adult. If you're an adult who has bills to pay, who has family members, who has other people that you need to check on, right? If you have other responsibilities, but a lot of the time you are locked in on something, you may be very successful at the thing, but everything else falls off.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And I don't
yes.
think that's a superpower.
It's not, and it's sad because then people seem to think that you are self-centered.
Yeah.
And my best friend, like one day, just called me and was like brushing me, and would say stuff like, "As a when you don't care about nobody." I'm like, I tested you in the morning. If I test you, how are you? I want the paragraph. Don't tell me you're okay. If you're okay, fine.
Right.
But then let me know step where to jump in and give me something, like let me be running around, let me be doing something. But me besides, I will say, okay, you don't give me what you're doing, what life is bringing, there's nothing to talk about. I'm sorry. And so that is how it's sad when they say it's superpower. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't even remember the time. Like now, my mom be calling me because she knows I'm not gonna call. My best friend will call me. I know I'm supposed to, but the thing is, I'm not seeing you every day to even think about you. And it's not I don't love you. I do.
Okay.
I do care about you. Like I do.
Yesterday, I was telling I was on a live yesterday, and somebody asked me that question specifically, and I said that sometimes when, especially they were talking along the lines of relationships, right? So you start a relationship, especially when it's new and it's exciting, you're all in. But then when it gets to the point where you actually have to put work in, you have to remember to call each other because then maybe you're no longer in each other's faces, the relationship may fall off, right? And I was telling them that sometimes if you know you care about the person, but you also know that you're likely going to get lost in your life and not keep in touch, then set a reminder to yourself and call them. Or we say, hey, relationship no alarm.
I do.
Sometimes if you don't do that, your relationships will struggle, right? So there are some people that have a standing alarm every Sunday to remind them to check in on their friends, and if you do it for so long, after a while, your Sunday evenings, it's like the way the time works, you just know to call people and check in on people, right? So bringing it back to knowing your brain after a while, because honestly, if I'm your friend and I know you have ADHD, yes, and I know you struggle with some of these things, after a while of me always being the one checking in, it gets old. It's no longer cute, right? I know you have ADHD, so when we schedule an appointment, I can understand the first time I get there and you're like, oh shit, I forgot about it. Please give me 20 minutes, and then you come in. Another day we get there, I have to wait another 20. After a while, I will try, because at the point it's no longer cute.
It's not.
So many people with ADHD, especially if they don't even know, right? They struggle in relationships, and in friendships, again, because if you don't take care, people have a feeling that you're self-centered. And then especially for people with a combined presentation, because of a lot of impulsivity, right? Sometimes when you're talking to people, the thing that comes in your head, you spit it out, right? So you would also sometimes come across as mean and insensitive. So if you put it all together, you are not reliable, because when we plan something, you don't come. You too, the small time that you are here, you are interrupting me,
and you're making me mad.
It's true. What's so the person may love you, but then it's like, after a while, it's almost like you're not worth the trouble, so it can significantly affect people's relationships too.
Truth be told, I'm so excited we're talking about this. Yesterday, I was talking to my friend Mary, and I was driving and we were talking about relationship. I was like, I want to be loved, but I'm tired of going through the process. I don't want to go through that, because it gets to a point where time now are falling. That's our time, no. I'm not into it because the excitement fades for me. I said, nipa no we machine. Yes, so I be how they talking.
Let's clean it up small. Nipa no
funo me. Thank you.
It's like,
and it's I think to me, I'm like, the way my brain is fast, and I'm expecting that say a conversation here, cause let it be something I'm interested in. Let it be intellectual. Let it be, and it's not always I love you, I miss.
Give me more. Your brain wants more.
I I want more.
You want more.
I want to talk about sport. I want to talk about food. I want to explore. I want to do all that. But
you also don't want to do the same thing over and over again.
And then because it gets boring too.
And too, that you want to do the sports too. If we say you plan the days, you don't have the organizational skills to actually plan it. So then I have to plan the day. I'm not the one that wants this, the plenty things. But you too, that you want the plenty things, you don't have the skills to organize it. Sometimes dating people with ADHD is almost not worth it.
Oh, Lord.
Right? Especially when they don't know they have ADHD, and they're not willing to put in the effort, right? So, sometimes I feel bad for my now wife, right? Because I wasn't diagnosed until I was in my third year in graduate school. Luckily I was diagnosed and I actually was on medication before she joined me for us to actually live together. So she's actually lucky that way, because I can imagine.
It's sad.
Lived on a day-to-day, because on the days that I don't take my medication, I'm not completely useless, but
it's life. We'll figure it out. Another day will come. We'll fix it. That's how life is for me. So, as we've talked about that, I want us to look at it in this way too. Why is that most people with ADHD have the fear of rejection?
So that conversation, the jury is still out, right? So they call something rejection or rejection sensitive dysphoria, RSD, right? So people with ADHD tend to struggle with emotional regulation. It's part of the condition, especially the hyperactive impulsive type. So they feel things more intensely. So I guess that's my closest way of explaining it. Because they feel things more intensely, so they feel the excitement very intensely. And so if I'm excited about you, if I'm excited about something and you say no, it's like, oh shit. So it's like I was here and you brought me all the way down, right? Maybe the average person, if they're interested in you or if they're interested in something, their excitement is still sort of measured, and if you say no, their disappointment is relatively measured, right? So it's all doable. The average person with ADHD, the excitement goes here, and the rejection comes here.
It just dropped like zoo. Because I think we have expectations.
Again, oftentimes because the way our brains work. So the average young person with ADHD, right? So the part of our brains in charge of decision making, our frontal lobes, right? The average person with ADHD's parts grow slower than the person who doesn't have ADHD, right? The average person with ADHD, as much as the person with ADHD, right? So we don't even measure our expectations correctly. It's like when you're excited about something, it's like boom, like how did you get here? Like you just met this girl or sister cry in your mind.
Oh, you're planning wedding.
You understand? Like how did you get here? So then
I know the dress.
if you ask her out and she says no, you're so disappointed because you blew everything up in your head.
Yes. Yeah.
So sometimes that's where the difficulty with rejection comes in. And then there's also another part where you have been, it's not everybody's situation, right? But when people with ADHD, especially when they don't know it and it's not controlled, sometimes you can come across as too much.
Yeah.
Right? So then a lot of people abandon you because you are too much. So then if another person does, it's like, yeah, there we go again.
Yeah. Like you said, from reading and from, all those things, I get to know that I'm too much for people because I see, like, the intensity of people. Like, I can see your body language. All of us, like, right there, and I know what it is. Like, the way I'll be on home. I don't know. I read meanings to a lot of things. I can be in a room and I will scan everybody and I know that I don't have to talk to this. So if something is going on, and I think that I'm this person that the passion I used to do with stuff makes me too much, because if it's white, it's white. There's no gray. There's no, You get my point?
Yeah.
So if this is it, let it be this. And I feel like if it's not that, it's not right. I feel like you are being injustice to something. You are like, I say, I boil up, and it's not anger, but it's more of
frustration.
Because I'm like, if I'm like far away to her now, they're told 1 year straight, why away, and now fat to walk out the pim ho, why so the pim ho? Like,
my favorite conversation to have with people when they have this sort of attitude, right? Because sometimes you forget how you are to people, how you come across to people, right? Because you hardly ever do it exactly as you're told, right? Because your ADHD brain didn't even hear the instructions to begin with. But sometimes they fight you, but people are not, coming at you as frequently as you may, maybe it's not the same person coming, as frequently as you go after other people, right? So you are sort of set because only a chrono and fan to her, but every day, the name of him,
I know.
I remember this one time I was talking to a person who has been diagnosed with autism, right? And so many people with autism, the difficulty they have is about this kind of the social nuances of things, so this person is so upset because I don't know, there's something that they were talking about and other people just don't get it. But one thing that they do is they can't stand people who walk barefoot on carpet.
Oh,
right. If you come to their house or you're around where they are or the people they live with, they're barefoot rubbing on carpet. That's just too much, right? Like, okay, but you expect people to get it. You expect people to understand.
Yeah, because of your sensory needs.
You expect that because of your sensory needs, people, even if they would rather walk barefoot in their house, your roommates need to be wearing socks, and they may be willing to do it for you, right? But you are so angry because people won't do things exactly how you want them to do it. So much that you are actually yelling at them, calling them names, calling them insensitive. Like, do you see?
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes that's where...
I think it's when you have somebody giving you the clarity of everything. That's when you know. Because like me, I got to realize, say, just because a bear casa, you say, I won't even call nobody. You see me juggling with a lot of things by myself because I don't want to deal with nobody.
Yeah. And there's also another side to that attitude, right? Because I think for a person with ADHD's worst enemy is structure.
Yeah.
The thing that a person with ADHD needs most is structure. Right? So if you give, like, if a person with ADHD has an appointment at 2 and they don't have anything the whole day, they are more likely to miss that appointment.
Yes.
Right? Because they think they have all the time in the world. Obihuna about 2:30. Right? But if that same person has something at 10, has something at 11, has something at 12, has something at 1, they will make the appointment at 2 because there's some sort of structure and something that they have to do. It keeps them busy. Oh, by 1 second, oh snap, it's almost like boom, 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 right? So sometimes you are doing everything by yourself because it keeps you busy. It gives you a little bit of purpose. It's challenging.
Yes.
Right? In its own weird way, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Depending on the different things that you're doing, they're new. And most of those things will be urgent because you probably procrastinated on them anyway. Right? So you feel productive because you're doing so much and you feel motivated to keep doing it. You get your dopamine hits and that's what works for you. The only downside to that is
you're always tired.
You overwhelm yourself. You exhaust yourself, and sometimes you get angry because nobody wants to help you, right? But you don't ask, so yeah.
So as we are about to run up on the ADHD, talking about the rejection and all that, is there any way that a person with ADHD can self-rewire their brain?
I don't know if rewire is the word I'm going for, but if you do know you have it, right, and like I talked about, like working with your brain, you also get better at surrounding yourself with people who understand you.
Okay.
Right? It's not so much that you just do everything that you want to do, but you get people who understand you. So, for example, when my wife asks me to do anything, like, so for example, hey, Lou, tomorrow, can you do this for me? Right? She's almost watching me to see me put it in my phone, because she knows if I don't put it in my phone, it probably won't happen.
Yeah.
Now, I'm in the habit of immediately putting it in my phone, but the few times that I don't put the thing in my phone,
It doesn't.
she'll be like, Lou, can you please put it in your phone? Right? Because again, she understands me. She won't be upset if I mean, she probably will be upset if I miss it. But when she knows that the thing is important, she wants to make sure that I put it in my phone. Right? She is the kind of person that when I remember before we moved to our house, we were looking at two different companies, like Ryan Homes. I was super excited about the house that we were going to get with Ryan Homes because we're going to get it quicker. It was probably cheaper by a bit, and the building was going to be better in my eyes, right? But the fine print, like the way this actual thing was going to work, wasn't good. But I was super excited to do the thing. Like, I'm excited for us to move to our new house. Yeah. So I'm ready to put pen to paper. So she said, Lou, I know you're excited about this, right? But this plan is not a good one. This is not a good deal. We will struggle. It will be difficult to see it through, right? Because she has seen I'm a big picture person, but she's very detailed. So she's seen all of the details, and she first recognized that I'm excited about it, and she knows that she's going to bust my bubble. I'll be disappointed, so she lets me down easily, but she does it anyway, right? So this is somebody who understands me and is willing to work with me. You understand? So if you do know how your brain works, you surround yourself with people who understand you, and then you also obviously understand them, right? So as she's telling me these things, I'm not flipping out, right? Yeah. Because Matthias here, I am disappointed, yes, but I get you. So yeah, the main thing to, I guess, rewire is not what I'm looking for, but surround yourself with people who understand you. Don't let people shame you into the example I always make is, don't let people shame me. I won't let you shame me into missing my exit. I go to my closest friends. I visit them often, right? And anytime I'm going, I put the address in my GPS. And when I'm leaving, I put in my GPS. Yeah. So one of my friends, he would always say, "Look, like, you've been here like 100 times. Why do you still need your GPS to go home? Like, you're not going to shame me into missing my exit."
Yes.
Right? Because when I put it in my GPS, and it's at the periphery, right? Sometimes I'm cruising. Yeah. In 2 miles, turn right. Then I start working my way to the right, So with my GPS, I'm significantly less likely to miss my exit. Yeah. And also, I know that even if I miss my exit, it will reroute me in like 2 minutes. Unlike before, when you freak out a little bit and I have to stop and then put in a new address and then go find a new, so... Yeah.
Thank you for that.
So I have to find a way that works for you. Yeah. Be comfortable in it. Surround yourself with people who understand you and are willing to work with you. So for example, like if I tell my friends that, hey, this event, can you remind me the day before? Because I likely will forget. If my friends think it means that I don't care about it, it's like, because if you care about it enough, why do you need us to remind you? It's like, oh, that's how your brain works. That's not how my brain works. Like, can you please remind me, right? But if you have friends that don't get that and don't want to get that, and they don't remind you, they don't kind of hold you accountable, they won't do the things to help you make it to the event, they're not necessarily bad people. They're just not, maybe they're not for you. They're not for you, exactly. Yeah. So when you find the people that you actually care about, you want to make work, then be open with them as to what you need from them. You understand? So like the example I was making about putting an alarm, like set an alarm to call the people you care about. Some people will say, like, I want you to spontaneously think about me and call me.
And see how, unless maybe I'm walking, I smell a perfume.
It's fresh and nice. When the relationship is fresh and it's intense, yes, I will. In fact, I will call you so much you'll probably be upset.
Yes.
But when it gets to the part where I have to actually work at it, I will probably see your phone call. I'll probably see your text. I plan to text you. Yeah. In fact, in my head, I've already replied your text. I've already replied the text in my head. Yeah. But I may not actually send it, or I may not actually write it.
It may
So when you call me and like if I eventually talk to you and you're super upset because it's been 2 days and I haven't talked to you, and the fact that I lost track of time or I forgot isn't enough for you, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, it is.
Right? You know, because there's no way, it's almost impossible to explain to somebody who doesn't have ADHD how your brain works.
Yeah.
You know, but ultimately also, I don't want people to feel like because you have ADHD,
it's an excuse.
You stop trying.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I me like this, I have so many alarms for ridiculous things. Like this time that I drop my kids off, I drop them off and pick them up every single day. I have alarms for them every single day, because the one day the alarm doesn't ring is the day I lose track of time because I was too lost in work. So if I have to pick them up at 1, I have an alarm that goes off at 12:30, so that it gives me 30 minutes to sort of sort things out, and then go pick him up. And when the alarm rings at 12:30, I hit snooze so that it rings again 10 minutes later. I hit snooze, it rings again 10 minutes later. You know, so it almost leaves no chance for me to really be distracted to miss it all the way. You know, and so because I know myself, I will not, I'm not tricking myself. I will remember.
Some days I die diving home. Some days I like, Mayor.
Yeah, you know you won't remember. So
and the funny thing is, you think that somebody's gonna remind you, but they don't. And in your mind too, you're talking to the person. Like, there's this lady. Oh, you say you're gonna call me. I said, didn't we talk? In my mind, we've talked though. We've already discussed what we're gonna talk about already. Yeah. No, you didn't. I'm like, She's like, I just said you didn't. I will look. It's written down. I didn't click the. She's like, please. I'm like, sorry. But then
one simple thing that I do. So I don't like notifications on my phone. I don't like having, like, if you go on my phone like this one like this. The minute we finish, I'm cleaning this, I'm clearing this. I don't like these notifications on my phone, right? So when I see a text, when I see it come on the top here like this, I don't open it, because I know that the notification will bring my attention to it. So then I only go to open it when I'm ready to reply. You know, so personally, the idea of, I thought I had replied, it doesn't happen often, because if I open it to then decide I'll reply later, that's the part that
I'm going to do what you do.
Like every day of my life, like I'm trying to figure out small things to do differently, you know. So what I encourage people to do, whether you have ADHD or not, like if you struggle with executive functioning, when you see that something doesn't work, like try different things. But sometimes what we try to do is we almost try to do the same thing over and over again, which obviously won't work. Like every appointment that I have, I put in my calendar right away, and depending on how far out it is, I set an alert for 1 week before and 2 days before. Now when the 2-day reminder comes, I then do when the 2-day reminder comes, then I then actually set an alarm for it to remind me on the day off, you know, because if not, I will miss it, right? And that's how I try to keep up with all my reminders and stuff like that.
Can someone be misdiagnosed or underdiagnosed, like overdiagnosed or misdiagnosed, or underdiagnosed?
Over and under, I don't think those are a thing. Now, misdiagnosed, yes. You know, so like I said, because there's so much overlap between ADHD and other things, right? Like we said, so many people can relate to some of the symptoms. There are many times when, especially when you're younger, for many providers, especially in the past, they decide if you have ADHD based on if you're struggling in school, right? So the only time, you know, providers or parents are even worried is if your grades are bad. So if you're a kid who gets good grades, like, you don't have ADHD, because they expect that as somebody with ADHD, and I say like your grades are bad and stuff like that. So many people don't get diagnosed because they're not struggling in school. You know, even though they are struggling at home, maybe they don't have any social life or stuff like that. And even at school, the grades are good, yes, but they're not actually paying attention in classes and stuff like that, right? So yes, many people can get, you know, not diagnosed when they're younger. There are also people who get misdiagnosed where the issue is maybe more anxiety based, more depression based, and then they get diagnosed with ADHD, right? Or they have ADHD. But I don't see often them getting misdiagnosed with the anxiety, because the anxiety is there. But maybe they have anxiety and ADHD, and the ADHD doesn't come. I guess that's where underdiagnosis may come in, maybe. Right? So yes, there are times when the issue is attributed to the anxiety only, and there's also ADHD in the mix. And there are times when somebody gets diagnosed with ADHD when the issue is in fact solely sort of anxiety influenced, right? So yeah.
All right then. Thank you so much. Thank you everybody. My name is Ohimananama and I am your cutest host on Comfy and Unfiltered.
Let me add one thing. So I always tell people, if you're concerned you have ADHD.
Oh, I was gonna ask you.
The best person to speak to is your primary care physician.
Yes. I was gonna get there, but let's get there now because I wanted to do small shakara, and then I'm here with Dr. Louise, and we're talking about ADHD as we just asked few questions and all that. Doctor, looking at everything that we talked about, it looks like some of them hate home, some of them doesn't, some of them feel like we need to work on, we need to improve our brain work and stuff. What are some of the ways to really know that this is your diagnosis?
Your best bet is to speak to a professional, right? There are some primary care physicians who are trained, some therapists who are trained to assess and diagnose ADHD, but even if they themselves are not, they can then direct you to the place to go, right? So you may have watched a video of mine and felt you relate. You may have watched something on YouTube, read around it, but ultimately I recommend speaking to a provider, a professional, or speaking to somebody who can guide you to the right place, because there's so much overlap with other things. If you don't take care, you walk around thinking you have ADHD. At least you walk around thinking you have ADHD only, when in fact maybe there is also something else in the mix that you'd be totally ignoring. Yes, always, ultimately speak to a professional. And I mean, especially if you think you have ADHD and maybe some of the strategies that we've talked about, or the things that you make changes on in your life improves your functioning, and you're like, okay, I feel good, I feel like I'm doing well, I guess there's nothing to that, right? But if you do want to pursue treatment, or if you do want to do something about it in that way, start by talking to your primary care physician. That's always a good place to start.
That's a good place to start. Is there any book you want to recommend, and your podcast and other podcasts that you feel will be with somebody that has been diagnosed and want to not feel alone, also want to improve on their knowledge about it?
Also, there's a book called Taking Charge of Adult ADHD. I think that's a good one. I've read it. And there's ADHD 2.0. There's the Smart But Scattered series of books. Those are good books to read when you've been diagnosed with ADHD. But also, typically when somebody assesses you and diagnoses you with ADHD, they do give you resources. So you can always talk to the person who diagnosed you about resources or certain things to do from that point on.
All right then. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming, and as always, you really bless us and teach us. Your social media handles.
Well, so if you search Dr. Louise Psychologist, I should pop up. The actual handle is your neighborhood psych, but many people don't know it. So I started the your neighborhood psych because I want to represent the psychologist that's it's almost like your next door neighbor.
Neighbor that you can go to,
Those days of a psychologist who is all shirt and tie and holding a clipboard. That's not the kind of person that I am, right? I want to bring mental health conversations in a way that feels like you're just chatting with your friend, next door neighbor, right? So it's like your neighborhood psych. That's the handle everywhere, but the username that I actually use is Dr. Louise Psychologist, and I'll pop up everywhere.
YouTube, Facebook.
So where I spend most of my time is TikTok. I do have a YouTube page as well, so if you search it on those two places, I'll pop up. I don't do much on Meta platforms, not much on YouTube. I mean, Facebook and Instagram. I have the account, but I don't do much.
You don't do much there. So, if you want to have a conversation with your neighborhood psych, go to Dr. Louise on all his platforms, especially on TikTok. He's always there. That's why I call him the celebrity doctor. He's always teaching, and you will see him so serious, and then the moment you see the fun kicking, and some know I am critical. All right, stay blessed. My name is Joey Main on Human and Bye bye.
Peace.